Kelly Davis, your host of the Untold Miracles podcast, and I am so excited for today's special guest. He's an NFL Hall of Famer and 8-time Pro Bowler who played 13 seasons as a linebacker for the Chicago Bears. He was a fierce force on the field, but what I really admire about him is he uses his platform to create miracles for those around him. Mr. Brian Urlacher, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, I'm just so grateful for your time today, and we are really grateful for your support at Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You visited many of them, including Phoenix Children's Hospitals, Lurie's Children's Hospitals, and I just want to thank you so much for all you've done for the kids treated at our hospitals.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. You know, I always enjoy going to the hospitals and visiting kids. It's fun to be around them and see the smiles on their faces when you walk in. Mostly in Chicago because they knew who I was there. When I went to Phoenix, most of the kids didn't know who I was, but it was still cool to see. You know, when you bring gifts, they get excited. So that's a good thing.
Well, on this podcast, we talk about miracles. And before we talk about the miracles in your life, I want to acknowledge you for some of the miracles that you've created in your lifetime. And I'm just going to start. I know you get embarrassed by some of this stuff because you do it under the radar and you don't want credit because that's not why you're doing it. But I'm just going to point a few of these things out before we start. Providing 50 underprivileged families with shopping sprees, giving gifts to kids at the hospital every year, purchasing many tickets for home football games and then donating to charity, donating $500,000 to the University of New Mexico's football program, donating equipment and shoes for football programs. The list goes on and on and on. You have such a big heart for helping others. Do you remember a time in your life or a lesson you learned from your mom or dad that helped shape you into that person?
You know, my parents were, I didn't grow up with a lot. I'll tell you that much. We grew up, I wouldn't say, we definitely weren't poor. My parents busted their butts. They worked their tails off for everything we had. We always had enough, but we never had a ton. So I'll say, but my parents were still so giving. My mom always, she ran the youth center in our hometown, was always very giving to everybody. My dad was very giving as well. Just, I don't know, I guess I learned from them. And then, you know, when you come into some success and some good fortune like I was able to in my career, it's not hard to give back. You know, like I said earlier, you see people get happy, and it's not hard to keep doing that when you see the excitement people get from it. Like I was less fortunate when I grew up. So it's nice to be able to help some of those people when you have the chance to do it.
Do you remember any particular kiddos over the years when you'd visit Lurie Children's Hospitals? Do you remember being inspired by any child in particular?
At Lurie, it's amazing, the things they do down there. And every children's hospital is the same, I'm sure. But, you know, just to see some of the kids and what they're going through and the battles that they have ahead of them still. You know, it's amazing to see what the positive attitude that they're able to keep during this whole process and the smiles on their faces, to see the outlook they have on their future. And they're not going through the best time right now, you know, when you're in there, but their outlook on their future is amazing.
I think that's why I love my job so much, is because I go into these hospitals and they choose to be positive. They choose to show up. They choose to be brave. They choose to teach us how to live life. And I think we can learn so much from these kids who really are the brave ones.
It's inspiring for me to go in there, honestly. Just that adversity I've never faced in my life. You know, a life-threatening disease or anything like that, the cancer, I've never faced anything like that in my life. So to see just the adversity they're able to overcome and to keep the positive outlook they have on life. And their families as well. You know, the families are amazing as well. Not to mention the employees at the hospital are just awesome. You know, they keep it positive the whole time. You go in there and you leave feeling great. You know, every time I ever gone in there, I leave feeling like $1 million because it's just to be around people like that and the positiveness you get is amazing. I love taking my kids as well. That's a great thing.
Well, you grew up in Pasco, Washington, and moved to Lovington, New Mexico when you were 7 years old because your mom had went through a divorce. Tell me about that time in your life and when you first picked up a football.
All my family still lives in Washington. It's crazy. All the Urlachers still live in Washington. I love visiting back there. We go back. It's just fun. You know, they all hunt. They all fish. They're all outdoorsy people. So it's fun going back there. But yeah, my mom and dad divorced when we were like 7. So we moved to, my grandparents lived in New Mexico. So we moved down there to be closer to them. To be easier for my mom being a single mother. So the 4 of us picked up, 4 of us being my mom, my brother, my sister, and I. And football, I played when I was young. You know, we always played in the street. We always played catch. I can't ever tell you a time where there wasn't either a football, a baseball, or basketball in my hand, probably from when I was a kid till I got through high school. That's just the way it was. And I actually love basketball when I love football. But I wasn't as good at basketball, so football was the easy choice.
And you weren't always the big kid either.
No, I was not. And so it's funny you say that. My son's not very tall right now, and he's 14, and he's going to grow. But I told him, I said, Kenny, I didn't grow till I was 16 years old. So I was never the biggest. I was never the fastest. I was never the strongest. And I never was even when I got older, but I was faster, stronger, and bigger the older I got. So I told him, I said, just wait. Your time's coming, buddy. Just keep biding your time until you get about 16 or 17. You're going to grow. I hope.
One day you made a really bold declaration to your mother and you told her that you were going to play for the Dallas Cowboys. I would love for you to share what she said to you because I think it's a really powerful lesson that parents can learn.
The Cowboys were my team growing up, man. That was, we every Sunday living in New Mexico, because I think Dallas was like 6 hours away from us or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Cowboys were our team. My favorite player played for the Cowboys. He was my guy. And my mom never shot any of my dreams down. How about that? That's a pretty bold prediction to say you're going to play for your favorite team when you grow up. And, thinking that, it's a pretty long shot that could happen. But my mom never shot any of my dreams down. She always supported me. Since we're talking about my mom, she was an amazing person. She always made it to all of our practices, all of our games. And there was 3 of us, and she was a single mother. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 kids now. It's hard to get to everything. I'm not single. It's hard to, and I'm not working. She was working and single and did everything she did for us. And I can't even do that right now with my kids, and I'm not single, and I don't have a job. So it's just amazing what she was able to do for us. But she always supported us in everything we did, especially if we had a dream. She was like, you can do it. She always pushed us to accomplish those dreams.
I love one of your mom's lessons from a book that I read called The Middle School Rules of Brian Urlacher was that you don't make excuses. And when you were younger, you wanted to make some excuses and quit playing baseball because you'd cry a lot because you didn't like it.
Stunk. You know what? Yeah, you're right. And my parents instilled early when we started something, we were not going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not like baseball. I was not good. I got better, but I'd strike out every time I got up to bat. I just start crying. I was a little baby, and I wanted to quit so bad, and she would not let me. And I'm glad she didn't. Obviously, I got better, but I ended up making the All-Stars that year. But I was a little baby. I did not like striking out or grounding out or not being on base every time I got up to bat.
Well, I love that lesson because a lot of parents, I think, sometimes do let their kids quit and be like, "Oh, you don't want to do that? Okay."
Yeah, no problem. Oh, okay. It'll be easier if you quit for us.
Yeah.
Instead of making them get through it, and a little disappointment every once in a while is not bad for you.
You learned a lot in high school football about life, overcoming adversity, reaching your dreams, discipline, hard work, being your best. And I want you to share just a couple life lessons you learned, and I want to start with the lawnmower incident.
Oh, my gosh.
If you could share that, I think that's a lesson that we can all benefit from.
Did you talk about missing practice? Because
Yes.
So I mowed lawns. That was my summer job. I pushed my lawnmower. A buddy and myself would push our lawnmowers around town, and we mowed lawns. We had like 7 yards in our consistent. We go mow every week. And during my sophomore year, I didn't realize that football practice was mandatory in high school. I had no idea. So 2-a-days roll around, and Monday gets there, and I'm like, I got to mow this yard. So I didn't realize that mandatory practice was mandatory. So I went and mowed our Monday yard, and I made my $14. And I lived literally 100 yards from the practice at the high school. So coach sent someone to my house, jumped over the fence, sent them to my house, knocking on my door. Mom's like, "Oh, he went to mow a yard today." So when I got home from mowing the yard, I took my little booty over there to practice, and I ended up making them afternoon practice. But I learned real quick that you don't miss practice, especially if you're going to go mow a yard like that. So yeah, I just didn't know. I didn't want to let my customer down.
You also had a time where you were accused of something that you didn't do at school. And I want you to share that experience. What made you make that choice and the lesson you learned from that?
Yeah, so somehow I think it was my sophomore or junior year, algebra book the teacher's math algebra book came missing with all the answers in it and everything. And for some reason, I was the one that got blamed for it. Actually, myself and a buddy of mine, and we did not take it. One of my best friends to this day, his dad was the principal at our school at that time. So Mr. Carter called me into his office, and he's like, we have information that you guys took the book. And I was like, we didn't take it, Mr. Carter. And he goes, well, I'm going to give you SWATs. I was like, and I'd never got in trouble. I didn't know. I was like, SWATs for what? I didn't even do anything wrong. Anyway, I got 2 SWATs from Mr. Carter and his, back when you could actually get in trouble at school before, it was the end of the world if you got SWATs at school. So I got 2 SWATs from Mr. Carter. Didn't feel good, but I took them. Mm-hmm. And I have no idea who took that book, and I don't, to this day, I have no idea what happened to that book, but it dang sure wasn't myself that took it.
You took the SWATs because you weren't going to be able to play football that night if you didn't, and you wanted to show up for your team.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, it was if you don't get SWATs, if you don't, even though I don't know if you believe this or not that we didn't take the book, but we were getting SWATs either way. So it was either take the SWATs and miss and play, or don't get SWATs and miss the game. So that was an easy decision for me to get the SWATs and go on about my business and just be a little sore for a while.
Well, your coach had a poster that said, "Work hard and do what's right." And I think really what separates you from everyone else is that you were willing to work hard. You even mentioned that you might not have had the talent or the size, but you put in the work. And I want you to share with kids today or anyone listening that wants to achieve something, like, what do you have to do to really do the work?
I'm a result-oriented person, and once I saw myself getting better, and I saw the jumps in the weight room, and I saw myself getting better on the football field, on the basketball court, it wasn't hard for me to work hard, because I was like, man, the harder I work, the better I'm going to get. And it may not be that way for everybody, but I truly believe if you put the time in and the effort in to get better at whatever you're doing, whether it's school, football, basketball, baseball, whatever you're doing in your life, if you put the time in, you will get better at it, and you will be successful at it. And I really believe that. You know, a lot of people may have not had the successes from doing that, but maybe they weren't putting the time in. I just believe, and I honestly can speak from experience, that if you put the time in, you will get better at something.
Well, I know it's important to you not to just be a good player, but to be a good leader. And was there a lesson that you learned when you were playing high school?
God, that was my favorite time of football, Kelly, was high school football, because I played with the guys from 6th grade on, the same group of guys from 6th grade to high school, seniors that is. And, you know, there was never, it doesn't matter how good I was or anyone else was on our team, if we weren't all together, we weren't going to win. You know, not one guy's going to win a game for you, especially on the football field. Basketball, you may be able to get away with it a little bit, but football, that's not possible. You have to have everyone doing their job, or you're not going to be successful. So I learned that early. There was no one person bigger than the team. I don't care how good you were or how good you think you were. You were not bigger than the team. And I think I learned that early from our coaches. And I tried to carry that on with me to the NFL and college as well. Speaking
of college, you wanted to go to Texas Tech, but you didn't get a scholarship. Were there any miracles involved in that and you going to the University of New Mexico?
You know, I was very fortunate that I got a scholarship at all, because I grew up in a small town. And, you know, I went to Texas Tech's football camp in the summer before my senior year, and I got the most outstanding camper out of 500 kids. I was like, they're going to give me a scholarship for sure. Ended up, they asked me if I could walk on. Well, I couldn't afford that. So I went on a visit to New Mexico. Coach Francione said, we want to give you a scholarship, but if you don't take it right now, we'll give it to somebody else. So I was like, I'm going to take it. You know, it was an easy decision. And it turned out being the best decision because, you know, I played for 2 great head coaches there, Coach Francione my first 2 years, and then Rocky Law in my last 2 years. And I played multiple positions, caught passes, returned punts, returned kickoffs. I was a football player. I wasn't, you know, I don't feel like I was a safety or a linebacker. I was a football player, and that helped me showcase my skills for the NFL.
Being drafted into the NFL. You were the 9th pick in 2000. You were Rookie of the Year in 2000. You were the Defensive Player of 2005. You had 1,776 tackles, 41 and a half sacks, 22 interceptions. What did it feel like when you played your first NFL game? Being that kid from Lovington, New Mexico,
goodness.
Being in the NFL.
Yeah. So stressful. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember my first preseason game was at the New York Giants. That was cool, but it's a totally different feeling when you play that first regular season game. We played at Minnesota. Dante Culpepper they had Randy Moss, they had Chris Carter, they had Robert,
wow.
They had all these unbelievable players. I didn't start that game. I was our third down linebacker, and I started on every special team. But it's just amazing to watch. It was at Minnesota, so it was in the I don't remember what it was called back then, but their stadium was inside. It was so loud. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And you walk out there and they don't like you. They're all cheering against you. And the game is so fast. Everything happens so quick in the NFL. I think I had 2 tackles that first game, something like that. One on defense and one on special teams, but I didn't make any mistakes. So, you know, I'm a big don't make mistakes guy. But I love football. I played against a bunch of guys that I watched when I was growing up, if that makes any sense. Just to be out there on the same field as these guys that I idolized as a kid was amazing to me.
Well, you played 182 games in the NFL. What game was the most memorable to you?
That's easy. So the 2006 NFC Championship at Soldier Field. We played the Saints. It was to go to the Super Bowl, obviously. We beat them 39-16 or 37-16, something like that. And we get – so the NFC Championship trophy is the George Halas Trophy. So George Halas is the founder of the Chicago Bears. So we received the George Halas Trophy at Soldier Field. It starts snowing in the 4th quarter of the game. It's just a perfect setting. And then Mrs. McCaskey, who was George Halas' daughter, is there to receive the trophy when we get it. It was an amazing setting. The game was great and all, but just the aftermath of what, you know, we didn't win the Super Bowl, but we but that game and that day was really special to me.
But you played in the Super Bowl. You lost to the Colts. What did you learn from that loss?
It stinks. Here's what you think. So as a player, you go to Super Bowl, you're like, oh, we're going to get back next year. We're going to get back the year after. And it just doesn't work out that way. It's frustrating because we had basically the same team the next year, but we didn't get back to the Super Bowl again. We lost in the NFC Championship 4 years later to the Packers, and they won the Super Bowl. But it's just hard to get to that level of excellence. That's what's amazing to me of how good the Patriots are and how much they've done it every single year. No matter how much you like them or dislike them, they are amazing at what they do. They're prepared every game. Coach Belichick has them always ready to play. Brady's the man. It's just, and as a player, former player, it's hard to get to the Super Bowl. It's hard to win them, but it's really hard to get there as well.
There's millions and millions and millions of people that have played the game of football, a lot less that have played in the NFL, and there's 326 that have been inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. There's 182 living Hall of Famers, and you happen to be one of them. Tell me about the miracle of that.
Yeah, you don't. I didn't play football to go into the Hall of Fame. I didn't. That was the furthest thing from my mind when I started playing football. No, I played it number one because I loved it. I loved my coaches. I loved my teammates, and I just enjoyed it. But to end up there after 13 years playing in the NFL and end up getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, I mean, I think that's just like the justification of what you put out on the field, what you put into the game. You put all that work in, and that's just your congratulations for doing all that and working hard and putting the time in. Now you're going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. Just an amazing accomplishment. And no one gets there alone. I kicked myself because my speech, I didn't say some things I wanted to say up there because I was trying to be mindful of the guys time behind me because you have a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I've been there before, and some guys go on for like 30, 40 minutes or longer.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be that guy that cuts into their time, so I left some people out that I wish I would not have, but they understood. It's just an amazing. The whole experience was phenomenal. The whole weekend was awesome. My family was there all weekend. I think I had over 250 people there from grade school through college through NFL. Everyone in my life that I pretty much had a hand in me getting to the Hall of Fame was there. It was a really cool weekend.
Well, what I think is really cool is just this last September, your high school football field was named after you. What did that mean to you?
That was unbelievable. And like I told you earlier, the playing high school football was one of my favorite times of football. We won a state championship on that field.
13-0.
14-0.
Oh, was it 14-0? Okay.
14, yeah, we were 14-0. There was a 13-0 team in 88 or 90 in Lovington. We were only a 14-0 team. But we just some of the memories on that field and the thing was cool is a lot of the people that were at the game that night when they named the stadium after me were there in the stands when we won state. The fan base there is amazing. A lot of people I grew up with and the business owners and everything. The same businesses there. There's not a whole lot going on down there, but just really cool. And all my high school coaches from my senior year came back for that as well. And it was just neat. And I had probably 10 or 12 of my teammates there from my senior year. So it was a really cool experience. Get a chance to do something like that.
Was there a miracle that you witnessed on the football field?
Yes. And I don't think this will ever be duplicated again. So in 2001, let me go back to the week before. The week before, we were down to the San Francisco 49ers by 8 points with like 30 seconds left in the game. We end up scoring a touchdown, going for two. We go to overtime. The third play of overtime, Mike Brown for the Bears intercepts the pass and runs it back for a touchdown. We win the game on a pick six. The next week, we're playing the Cleveland Browns at Soldier Field. We're down 21-7 with 90 seconds in the game.
Did you say 21-7?
21-7 with a minute and a half to go in the game, somewhere there. So we score a touchdown on offense.
Okay.
We get the onside kick, throw a Hail Mary, score a touchdown. We're tied 21-21. We're up on defense first. Second or third play, Mike Brown intercepts the pass and runs it back for a touchdown in overtime. Back-to-back games, he ends the game in overtime with a pick six. That's never going to be done.
Yeah.
Not back-to-back weeks.
Right.
Not by the same guy. Not the same field. Just to even get to overtime in both those games was phenomenal. And to win it the way we won it, that's a miracle to me. It just.
Well, no, if you win the record books, you would see that was never done before and will never be done again.
I agree, and it's amazing, and that was a pretty special season as well. But to win those two games the way we won them, to come back, we never gave up. We had great coaches, but to do that back-to-back weeks is pretty special. What's
been the biggest miracle in your life, maybe other than your kids?
Oh, other than my kids, I can't think of anything other than my kids.
Okay, let's talk about I'm pretty sure your three kids might be your biggest miracle.
Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. I'm nothing without them. I mean, they're amazing. I have an 18-year-old daughter she's a freshman at the University of Kansas this year. I have a freshman in high school. She's 14. My son's 13. He's an eighth grader here. It's amazing. They're so much fun. I don't know. Thank goodness that I retired when I did, because I feel like I got busier after I retired.
Mm-hmm.
I got busier running them around, doing stuff with them, but they're all so different, which is amazing. They're all very different people in a great way. And they're just, in my opinion, really great kids. And we have a really good time and we have fun. But I'm very fortunate to have three really good kids.
That's amazing. Well, I have a couple quick fire questions for you before we end.
Okay.
If you didn't play football, what would you have done?
Oh, I get that question all the time. So when I grew up, all people do is work on the oil field in Levington, New Mexico. My dad worked in the oil field. Everyone, my best friend's dad worked in the oil field. Everyone did the oil field. So if I did not play football, I'm pretty sure I would have been down in the oil field working in Levington still. I firmly believe that, because it's hard to. Well, I think once you get not caught up, I'm saying, but once you start doing that, it's hard to get out of it, because the oil field is booming down there. They're making pretty good money. So I think that's what I'd be doing.
What NFL player did you most look up to when you were playing high school ball?
That's easy. Darren Woodson. He was a safety for the Cowboys. So I played safety in high school. I felt like I was a big guy. Darren's 6'2", 6'3", 220. I was not 220. I was 190, but I felt like I was tall. So he was my favorite player, and I love the Cowboys, in their heyday, early 90s. That was my guy. Of course, I like Emmett, Jay Novacek, Troy Aikman, Irvin, Stepnoski, LA, all those guys I really liked, but Darren Woodson was my favorite.
If you didn't play linebacker, what would be your position?
Quarterback, for sure, especially now. So first of all, I got a great arm. I think I was out of position my whole career. High school, college, I think I should have been a quarterback the whole time. I don't know what these coaches were thinking, but I got a great arm, and I'd still be playing right now, too, because I'd never get hit. Now you can't hit the quarterback, so I kind of got gypped there a little bit by not playing quarterback.
Okay, the hardest quarterback to tackle during your 13 seasons?
Michael Vick.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Wow.
An elusive guy. And we had some good games against Michael, but, man, he was so good and so fun to play against, because if you weren't prepared to play, he was going to embarrass you. So I really liked playing against Michael Vick, and he was fun. We had some good games against him, but he also has some good games against us.
One word to describe the biggest life lesson that the game of football has taught you?
Humbling. I think that's, you try to stay humble as best you can, and if you don't, the game will humble you. I truly believe that if you try to get a big head and think you're too big for your britches, this game will humble you in a heartbeat.
Your life motto that you like to live by?
Oh, that's a good one as well. So I'm a firm believer that if you are nice to other people and you do the right thing most. So I tell my kids that there's right and there's wrong. Do what's right. You know the difference between right and wrong. Do what's right. But I think that's a good one. But I just think being nice to people it's very hard for me to be rude to people. I mean, I've done it, but it's hard. I mean, it's so much easier to say hi or hey than to just ignore someone when you're walking by them. So I just think being polite and having good manners. That's my kids are the same way. They're all three polite. And they say please, thank you, and I just think that's a great way to get things done.
The book that's made the most impact on your life?
Kelly, I don't really read books.
Okay. This next question will be easier then.
How about this book?
Okay.
Where the Red Fern Grows. How about that? I read that book in high school. That's about the only one I can remember reading.
Okay. Your favorite place to vacation?
My favorite place to vacation, so Florida, fishing. So I have a boat down in Florida, and I love to fish. So you get me and the kids and the wife on the boat, and we go about 100 miles offshore fishing. I'm happy. My phone doesn't work. We have the radio playing, tons of food. That's my favorite thing to do, is just get offshore and fish. That's it.
Your favorite golf course to play?
Oh, my gosh. All right. So I've been very fortunate. I played Augusta. I've never played Pebble. I played Winged Foot. I played Shinnecock. But I remember a place here in Arizona called Scottsdale National, and I could play there every day and be the happiest guy in the world. There's 45 holes. We have two 18-hole courses and a par 3 9-hole course, and it's immaculate. So I would choose there just because it's fun, and we never wait to hit shots. We play fast, and I'm a big fan of playing fast and just kind of having a good time out there. Okay,
now a little more serious.
Okay.
What is your definition of a miracle?
My definition of a miracle? Oh, that's a good question. I guess the impossible, like something that you don't think could ever happen, and it happens. Like I guess me playing the NFL is a miracle to me because I didn't think that would ever be possible. Of course, you think about it when you're a kid, but you look at the statistics and it's not possible. You're not supposed to be able to do that, you know. And then you look at also the medical miracles as well are amazing to me. You look at some of the things that people overcome, and most of the kids in the hospital, they're not supposed to be able to overcome. They're supposed to, you know, they give you 3 months to live, and you live. 10 years later, you're still living. There's so many things that I could go on and on about, but yeah, just things that aren't supposed to happen that happen.
If you could go to lunch with anyone tomorrow, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would choose my granddaddy. So my grandpa died when I was a sophomore in college, and he was so funny, he was so cool. But my grandparents on my mother's side were amazing, so I would choose my granddaddy because I loved hanging out with him. We used to take us to get our haircuts every week at the state line in New Mexico. Just my time spent with him was so fun. But I would choose my grandpa.
The best prank you've ever played?
You know, when I was a kid, my dad used to pour cold water on us in the shower all the time. If you didn't lock the door, you were getting water poured on you. So I enjoyed doing that to people. Especially
your sister.
Yeah, my sister, you know, I enjoy hiding under my son's bed and scaring him at night or anytime during the day. I like scaring my dogs when they're not paying attention. You know, I like to keep people on their toes. I don't really have a best prank, I don't think, but my favorite thing is driving in the car and when everyone's not paying attention, slam on the brakes and screaming.
What is a hidden talent of yours that most people would just not know about you?
I don't know if it's a talent, but I'm pretty good at ping pong, table tennis. So I used to play when I was a kid.
I think it's a talent.
Yeah, I like ping pong. We used to play on the weekends in Lovington. We'd go to my buddy's garage and we'd play for 3 or 4 hours. Just 5 or 6 of us, round robin tournaments, just playing. So I ping pong, I guess.
If there were a sport that you could be a pro at that wasn't the NFL, what would your next be?
Golf. I love golf. And I guess when you're doing it professionally or as a living, it may be different. But I really want to be good at golf. And I watch the guys on TV. And I want to be just like them. They're unbelievable. So I guess I would choose golf if I could choose anything to do for a professional sport.
And your favorite golfer right now, playing on the PGA Tour?
Right now? It's Tiger Woods. It's always been Tiger Woods. You know, and you know who is growing on me really quick is Rory McIlroy. Just because, and Tiger's changed over the last couple of years because of everything. Just he's more open now, I feel like, to younger players and the fans. And Rory is just like a people person. I feel like he's out there all the time. He's always smiling. So Tiger's 1, and I'll take Rory number 2.
All right. Well, we are at the last question. This is a serious question.
Okay.
If there were 3 miracles that you could create in the world today, what would that look like for you?
I would end cancer. I would find a cure for cancer, all kinds of cancer, number 1. Golly, these are hard questions, Kelly. I can choose. I mean, that's like a huge one right there, I think. I would make there be no homeless people because I get really sad when I'm driving down the road and I don't see people that can afford to live somewhere. And the third one, I guess this is a selfish one. I want to win a Super Bowl.
You know what? Dr. J wanted to have a better golf score or a golf handicap, so it's fine to be selfish.
There you go. Golf is irrelevant. I want to win a Super Bowl. So I'm choosing my third miracle. I'm going to be selfish. The other 2 are pretty good, but I'm going to choose. I want to win a Super Bowl. That's my little miracle, I guess, for myself.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm so grateful for your time, Jay. We're so excited because we get to spend time together in Hawaii in January. You're going to be playing in the Ace Hardware Golf Shootout that raises $2.5 million for Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
Yes.
But I just want to thank you so much for all you continue to do to create miracles in the world. You truly are someone that I look up to. You are an inspiration to me, and I hope you are just an inspiration to everyone who listens to this podcast to go out and create miracles.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to Hawaii as well. We'll have a good time there.
Can't wait. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Untold Miracles podcast. If you liked the episode, do us a favor and go to iTunes and leave a review. And if you haven't joined our Facebook group, go to Untold Miracles and leave us your story about your personal miracle. Thank you for your support of Untold Miracles.